All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. All right. Let me make sure we're on. Okay. All right. If you guys can hear me or see me, if you can comment, I'm not seeing it myself yet. So there we go. Okay. Awesome. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. We are in open enrollment week for the MedSLP Collective, which is my most favorite week of all. And we have rolled out something brand new this year, actually, something that we've been working on for probably an entire year. And I am so excited to present it all to you guys, especially our current members haven't even really dove into it yet. So you're all learning at the same time. So, okay. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Valeria. Appreciate you guys. Okay, so, and hi, Brianne. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Okay, so one of the things that we've rolled out within the MedSLP Collective, like I said, we've been working on it for probably a year behind the scenes and finally got it rolled out this week, is called our learning pathways. And this is something I'm so excited about because we have so much information in the collective. And if you are someone that you're not sure what setting you want to work in, or you know what setting you want to work in, but you just aren't sure what topics you need to know about or what resources or webinars are pertinent to you, we have curated specific learning pathways exactly for this purpose. So we've really sort of gamified it as well. So you get prizes for completing them, you get badges, we'll send you gifts, all that fun stuff. So we really just wanted to make it more fun, but also very meaningful so that we can make sure that you're taking the right resource or that you're reading and reviewing the right resources, taking the right webinars for CEUs, and asking the right questions to help your patients. So tonight, I am going to bring on Kelly Caldwell, and she is one of our mentors in the collective. She knows about so many things, as everybody can imagine, but she specifically curated our voice learning pathway. So I'm going to bring her on to sort of talk a little bit about what that all entailed. Hello, my friend.
Hi.
I appreciate you so much being here.
Well, I'm glad I can be here.
Yes. And if those of you do not know Kelly, she has done an insane amount of work behind the scenes with her state. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, Kelly, because you're probably the most impressive person and you're totally my idol. So
I could probably talk your ear off about it, so I won't, but I'll give you kind of the lowdown. I'm Vice President of Government Affairs for South Carolina. So anything and everything advocacy just falls right on top of me, in that I'm the main person to communicate with our association funded lobbyists. So any sort of communication that we need to do at the state level to help our SLPs practice at the top of their license, that's 100% on my mission. Of course, another piece of the puzzle is all of the little intricacies that help us do our job, like reimbursement, licensure issues, certification issues, maintenance of, continuing ed, anything like that that might fall into policy or legislation I sort of deal with. I also have the lovely pleasure every week of reviewing the stack of bills that are filed in the legislature during the season that they are in session. And every Friday night I get an email and I have to review basically all of the bills that come through to make sure there's nothing that we need to say something about. So I'll give you an example. There's a new bill, I'm fairly certain it passed, but I'll have to double check, that's going to establish a Parkinson's research program in South Carolina where MUSC is going to be tracking new cases of Parkinson's to help us get information on how many cases of Parkinson's and Parkinsonism, like MSA or CBD or something else. So it's going to help track that. The problem is the way the bill was written would have looped every SLP, audiologist, nurse, anyone else who treats a patient with Parkinson's into reporting that case. And so we had to go back and ask them to fix that so it was focused on providers who diagnose Parkinson's and Parkinsonism. And because we pointed that out to them, they were able to put an amendment in the bill that protected us from having to report every single one of these cases when we see them.
crazy.
So it would have been absolutely insane if it had passed and somehow or another people realized, oh, wait, this requires anyone who treats a Parkinson's patient to report that. And the intent was for diagnosing physicians and non-physician providers. So we helped to fix that so it didn't become an issue.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. I can't say enough about what you do. And I think so many SLPs want to get involved with more policy things, but I think people don't know where to start. And I feel like I'm on like my podcast interviewing right now. And that like
Yeah.
wasn't the whole intent on tonight at all. But if you have any advice to give SLPs about, maybe where to start with this sort of policy stuff, what would you say?
I think the biggest thing is realize that there are people that are passionate about this, whether you know them or not. Contact, whether it's clinical and professional affairs or government affairs or legislative affairs within your state association, and tell them what your specific interests are. And I promise you they'll find a way to get you involved. I actually just emailed someone today to see if she could attend a state agency meeting tomorrow, just in case we could actually get some coverage there, because we're working on increasing our ability to attend these meetings. Once we know about them, then we can make a plan.
Yep.
So just increasing our advocacy. It takes a lot of hands. So don't be scared to jump in, even if all you can do is one meeting a year. That's better than what we don't have if you don't jump in.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. You're amazing. Okay. All right. So why we are here tonight. So we are here tonight, like I said, because we have created these brand new learning pathways inside the collective, which I'm so excited about. Our team behind the scenes at the collective they are way more brilliant, way smarter than I could ever be. And they are incredible, everything that they've put together. So Kelly helped us curate the voice pathway. If you want to talk a little bit about what that was like, some of the resources involved, why you chose some of the resources. Yeah. So take it away.
Yeah. So when I was asked to create this, my first thought was, what would I want someone to know who wants to work in an ENT practice or wants to work with ENT patients on a kind of a majority of their caseload? And so my first thought was, okay, this is a pretty big area, but at the same time, there's a lot of ways to narrow it down. So first, I started with the voice competency and the dysphagia head and neck cancer competency quizzes that we have on the collective. And I said, you know what? At least this gives somebody a barometer for sort of where they are. What do they feel confident that they know? What do they perhaps don't feel confident about? And then I started collecting the different webinars that feel like, okay, this is a patient I saw yesterday, or this is a patient I'm going to see tomorrow. So I really was thinking about the typical caseload of the ENT SLP. So I chose a couple, and they're really sort of one into the other, but within the voice realm. So post-stroke dysphagia from acute care and beyond was an actual webinar that I decided would be helpful here, because sometimes, even if you have an outpatient clinic somewhere nearby, you might still inherit these patients with vocal fold abnormalities, unilateral issues after a stroke, and sometimes dysphagia after a stroke. And they're coming to you for all of it rather than going to two different SLPs. So that was one of the reasons I picked that. I actually put in here motivational interviewing because in the outpatient world, and especially in the ENT practice, if we're not understanding what our patient really wants to get out of it and asking those questions, then our plan of care at the end of the day may not really match up with their values and beliefs. And motivational interviewing helps us to get there. Let's see, another webinar. I actually did one, but I tried to not just necessarily pick a webinar that I was necessarily a presenter on, but the correct diagnostics in upper airway disorders drives appropriate treatment. I felt like, even though it's a couple of years old now, I think it was 2018, it's still relevant today. I still think about all of the resources that I put in that every time I see a cough patient or someone who's coming to me with a cough plus swallowing issues, cough plus voice issue. I love the management of vocal fold paralysis and paresis webinar. That is a must watch for someone who's going to be in an ENT practice. I think sometimes people think there's nothing I can do for those patients, and perhaps this webinar gives you more tools to help decide what you can do. We know that there are more and more resources coming out about gender affirming services. So I added in the webinar here on gender affirming voice therapy. I don't know if that's going to be just a niche population for some people or if it's going to be the bulk of your caseload, but it's an essential webinar for the SLP that's in the ENT practice. I also kind of, and I when I submitted the list, I divided it up into sections. So the first one was really just webinars. The second one was really more printable resources, things that people can print out, watch, maybe even practice while they're watching the video, things that may be helpful to add to their files. So there's a really great quick start to navigating chronic refractory cough in adults that I would absolutely recommend adding to your files, and maybe even review that before your next cough patient comes in. Something might strike you and that patient says one thing that just goes, oh, ding, that's what I need to do next. Of course, the Hirano GRBAS, the Gerbus, and Cape V, there's a demonstration there. So if that's not a tool that you're using in your current setting, the Gerbus and the Cape V are essential tools in the ENT practice. I would say 100% of the 92524 evaluation notes, the voice evaluation notes, have a Gerbus on them, 100%. Even if it's normal, they have a Gerbus on them. I also put some information that you could print out here about differentiating laryngeal imaging exams, so you know kind of the language to use to talk to your doctors about what exam you want your patient to have. I will say in terms of collaboration with the physician, the ENT practice is unique in that we are sort of constantly collaborating. I think I talked with a physician 4 times today about different issues. One was a trach issue, another one was a chronic cough issue, another one is a patient who desperately needs to see a GI. So several things that we are kind of always talking to the doctors about. And I think it's important to have that language. So I picked those resources. And then I actually pulled a couple of exercises. So oftentimes somebody will ask a question like, hey, I know how to do the exam, but I don't really know how to choose exercises or how to do this exercise, or can I review how to do the exercise? So I've actually pulled some of the exercise demonstrations that people can just click through and watch and do alongside if they want to. There's a couple of case study videos like the Zinkers and cricopharyngeal bar case that I put up there. Laryngeal massage demonstrations, singing voice therapy techniques. There's really some gold in there for voice.
Yes.
I did list a couple of mentor Q&A replays just because those are a little more informal, compared to a typical CEU. And those, I feel like you almost get a little better read on how they handle everyday life. So I put a few of those replays in there just to sort of help people see that even if the ENT setting is where you want to be and you feel like that's the people who work there walk on water, I promise you we don't. We definitely don't. And there are days and questions that we have and situations we just have to figure out what to do next, and we don't always have the answers. So I wanted you to see that on the Q&A replays that we are real people too.
Thank you. Thank you. I love all of that, Kelly. I think I love everything about what you said, obviously, but I always find the exercise videos to be so helpful and so affirming, because I think when you do these sort of exercises, you're like, is this what I'm even supposed to be doing? Is this like you think you know? And unless you've had experience doing it, or you've had someone to shadow, or you've had an actual mentor in the room, it's hard to know. So I know these are some of our most popular resources. So I love that you included those, but I also love that you included other things too that some people might not even know are in the site, or just might not realize are that important to working in an ENT or a voice setting. So
yeah, it's very a variety of experience depending on what the practice brings in. So
yeah.
In my particular office, I do bring in some outside referrals, so I don't just have internal referrals from the ENT doctors. So that's one of the reasons I tried to pick and choose and sort of look at what's the typical person going to see? Now, if you're in a staff with multiple SLPs in the clinic and you can divide caseload, like this person really wants to concentrate more on head and neck cancer. This one really wants to concentrate more on dysphagia. This one wants to concentrate more on singing voice. Certainly, you can develop those competencies even more. But I think just giving kind of a nod to the generalist voice SLP, if there is such a category, I feel like that's what I am.
Yes, I love it. You do a wonderful job doing that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, anything else you want to share with anybody? Why you love being part of the collective? The collective loves you.
Well, I would say I think the coolest part is that people are willing to ask questions, and it's like they're not scared to understand that they might not have all the answers.
Mhm.
And I feel like I approach things that way too, that I don't always have all the answers. And that's one of the reasons I don't respond on every single post. I mean, I try to be very careful about what I respond on, and that I am thinking, am I really going to be able to share something useful for this person? And if I don't think that I'm there, then I sort of hold off and say, okay, let me see what else some other people have to offer. So even as a mentor, I try to do the same thing I want for members to do.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that so much about what our mentors do, because a lot of them, all of them do that. They will chime in and say, "I don't know the answer to this," or "I'm not the best person for this, but let me, recommend somebody else, or let me do some digging." So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful, wonderful community, if I must say so myself. But
Yeah, I will say I do that with my patients as well. So I would encourage those who are out there listening, it's okay to say, I don't know the answer to that right now. And I'm going to be able to, find someone who can, or look it up, or, consult a colleague and come back with an answer, whatever you need to know.
awesome. Well, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So that was the wonderful Kelly Caldwell, which I know we all know and love her. And now I'm going to actually bring on Ashley. She's somebody else that has been in the collective for, gosh, Ashley, how long have you been a collective member?
Oh gosh, I don't even know now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
long.
Yes. Well, we love and appreciate you too, and I'm so glad you're here. And if you want to talk just a little bit more about why you're a member of the collective, and I know you've gotten so much more involved into voice, and I've loved watching your sort of evolution of getting, becoming much more of a voice expert than you used to be.
Yeah, it's so let me back up. First question, why am I a member of the collective? I needed support coming out of grad school and beyond. Did not have very good mentorship, and unfortunately ended up feeling really lost and kind of on an island, even though I was working in a setting where I was not the only SLP. And ended up feeling like I, as a new clinician, was mentoring older clinicians, which was a really bizarre situation. And so I was looking for some people who could help me grow as a clinician and mentor me. And that's how I found my way to the collective. And it really has helped me to do that. I have always been considered myself a voice specialist. I did my undergraduate in voice performance before switching my major into speech language pathology, knowing that I wanted to specialize in voice and work with voice. And so I kind of went in knowing that, which I feel is kind of unique and strange for speech language pathologists. I feel like most people are like, voice, ooh, I don't want to touch it. But I've really had to kind of carve my own path and like figure it out on my own. And the MedSLP Collective has really helped me attain my goals, like my long-term goals, much faster than I would have been able to do without it. So just this past semester, I actually was adjunct faculty at the university and taught the voice disorders class, which was one of my long-term goals, and didn't think I'd get there this soon, but I got approached about it, and they were like, "You're the specialist in this area. We'd love you to teach the class." And I actually just had a meeting on Friday where they told me that my course evaluations were like the best they've ever seen. So I was like really proud of myself for doing that in my first semester of teaching. And now I'm going to actually take a step even further, and I'm opening my own voice private practice. So yeah, it's a little bit of a crazy, like, I wasn't planning to be here this soon, but here I am, and it's all thanks to the support that I have from MedSLP Collective. So
Awesome. We appreciate you so much. Are there any specific, Kelly sort of was talking about the learning pathway that she created for voice. Are there any specific resources or webinars or any of the demonstration exercises, anything that really sort of shook you to your core, or was something that you were like, holy cow, I was not expecting this, or this is not something that I had thought of before?
I feel like I find that with like most of the resources, not just voice specific, but since we're on voice specific topic tonight, I would say that one of my very favorite webinars was actually Kelly's webinar on upper airway disorder management and assessment and evaluation. And it was just such a good webinar with extra tools that I didn't already have in my toolbox. And I felt like I was fairly competent at doing upper airway assessment before that, but now I'm like, I feel kind of like a rock star because she gave me those extra tools. And so I always go back to that one. Any of the demonstration videos by Carly for any of the voice exercises are wonderful. They're really great. And then the resource that Maurice Goodwin did on evaluating the laryngoscopies.
Yes.
I had a really good experience with learning laryngoscopy and endoscopy, video stroboscopy in grad school, thankfully. But then going back and taking that as a kind of refresher was really good because he presents it in a way that is just so easy to understand. And it was nice to be able to go back to the basics and really look at it from that perspective, which then ended up helping me to figure out how to teach it to my class this semester. So I loved his resource on that. I thought that was wonderful.
Oh, I love that. I love hearing that so much. I get so excited when I'll get emails from professors or instructors and they're like, oh, can I use one of these, like a little snippet of a webinar, a little snippet of a resource? I'm like, yes, because it's so like, that's exactly how I want our contributors to feel. I want them to feel like your work is so important and is creating such a ripple effect. And I just love when that actually happens. So I know Maurice, just has such a way of presenting things that are so easy to understand. And I am not a voice person. I know people get mad at me when I say that, but I actually can understand when Maurice teaches. So yeah, awesome. I love that. Well, I won't keep you, Ashley. Just one more question. If anybody is on the fence about joining the collective or they're intimidated by voice, but they want to dive in, any words for them?
Yeah, the collective is really a great resource for you if you feel like you need support, if you feel like you are burned out, or even if you feel like you just need a change. Like, I love dysphagia, but I've been doing it for a while, and I just, I'm interested a little bit more in voice, or I'm interested a little bit more in aphasia, and I just haven't, done that since grad school or whatever it might be. And I need a refresher. There is something for everyone in the collective, and the quality of the responses that you receive is really high whenever you do have questions. And the resources are just so thoroughly peer reviewed. I have submitted resources myself, so I know from the back end just how extensive that peer review is, and you are getting really high quality resources that you can't get anywhere else.
Awesome. I won't keep you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah. Have a good night. Thank you.
Ashley. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I just want to harp on Ashley's last point there. If you're not sure about different topics or different areas, it's exactly why we created these learning pathways, which I'm so excited, like I said, to roll these out. we've been working on them for so long. But what I love about it is if it's an area that you're not sure about, or you're just looking to acquire some more knowledge, if it's a setting you're thinking you might want to go work in, but you aren't sure, by completing these, it will really help to clarify that for you. So if you complete the entire learning pathway, you might realize, oh my gosh, I love that setting, or I love that topic. That's definitely what I want to pursue more. Or on the flip side, you might realize, okay, that's not what I really had in mind. Those are not the things that I want to work in. So we're really just trying to clarify things a lot easier for everybody, make the information a lot easier to find. So again, MedSLP Collective enrollment is open this week through Sunday night, and then we will close enrollment down. You are able to join the collective other ways throughout the year, but we just don't talk about it openly and, go online every single night to talk about it, because we are busy working behind the scenes, working on all the wonderful things for our mentors. So if you're interested in joining, it's $34 a month or $349 for the entire year. We do have a student rate that is $19 a month. The only difference is we do not report the CEUs to ASHA for you. So you can still take all the webinars for ASHA CEUs, we just don't report them for you. We also have a 7-day no questions asked money back guarantee. I can never say that right. So if you do join the collective and you aren't happy with it, or you don't find anything you're looking for, no questions asked, we can refund your money. So I believe that is all that I have for you for tonight. Like I said, we'll be live on every night this week with a different mentor that will be talking about the learning pathways, and also other members. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and I hope to see you on the inside. So happy Monday, everybody, and I'll catch you tomorrow night.